Welcome back to another video, and I hope you're doing well. Today we're looking at another Thermaltake product. This is a Micro-ATX case, the H18. So let's get started and see what's inside. Let's get unboxing. Yikes! Static. Okay, so we have this Versa H18, and first impressions is, from the outside at least, it looks very streamlined. One thing I have noticed is that air cooling is certainly not going to be an issue in this case. Quite simply because, hopefully the camera can pick that up, you can see through it. It's not blocked. Airflow is going to be pretty awesome. So that in itself, in a MicroATX case, is, well, it's good. It's a good thing. So let's start on the front. On the front we have, on the left hand side, I don't think this has RGB. No, this one doesn't have RGB on it. You can add RGB, of course, and it's going to look pretty awesome, given that you can see through the grille on the front, and we'll look at that in a moment. So on the front you have the power button. Oh, hang on, the pill. Very satisfying. So on the front of the case, we have up here a power button, USB 3, USB 2, microphone, headphone, and a reset button, and an LED button. Maybe this does have RGB. We'll investigate that later, but it definitely says LED. So maybe there is an LED somewhere inside there. I don't know, actually, I have no idea. So on the front we have nice ventilation here. Let's pull this off so we can see inside of the front. Or not. So I managed to pull the front off. Just a bit of brute force is required for that, same as pretty much any case. And as you can see there's the dust filter, which is great, and support for radiators, and we will get to that when we look at the inside of the case in a bit. So on the left side we have a, it's not tempered glass, it is the plastic window, or however they call it, SPCC material, I believe. I might be wrong about that. That might be the case. Anyway, we're gonna look in this. We'll look inside in a moment. So you've got the pill as well. Now, obviously, as with any build, I would recommend keeping that on until you've finished the build to avoid scratching. These will scratch very easily, as I'm sure you know. So recommendation is that you keep that on until you're done. So on the back for the side panels we have thumb screws. Let's just see if they're captive thumb screws or if they actually come out. So they're not captive ones, they do come out, so I would recommend doing this on the safe when you do your build. So we have space for 4 PCI slots, your standard power supply, and exhaust fan. I think that's a 120mm exhaust fan that comes with the case. and obviously the motherboard space there for your I/O ports. On the back side, it's pretty plain. Nothing much to be said about that. So we're going to go on to the bottom. Actually, we'll do it that way. So on the bottom of the case, obviously you've got your feet, so it's not completely flat on the floor. You've got some holes here for maybe reservoirs or something like that. There's a rubber grommet there. I'm not sure. We'll have a look in a minute once we open the case. And the all-important flimsy dust filter, which seems quite difficult to get out actually. I guess if we do it this way. I mean, at least it's removable, but it is quite flimsy, and you can't pull it out from the back. So if you were to stand this up like this, and you put your finger under like I did earlier, and you try to pull it out, you wouldn't be able to pull it out. Probably wouldn't have taken much engineering to make that pull out from the back actually. But at least it's removable and you can clean it, so that's not all bad. On the top of the case, again, they've gone outside the box on this one. I mean, a lot of more expensive cases have this now, in that you can just remove the top dust filter. It's magnetic. Now, this is about a £40 case, £40 in UK pounds that is, from most e-tailers online. And you don't normally see magnetic strips, or at least I've not seen them anyway. So that is quite good. You can put a single 120mm rad on the top there, and it's quite easy to take that off and clean it. Very good. I'm quite impressed with that. That's lovely. So we're going to go to the inside of the case now and see what is in store. So while I drop screws everywhere, this is obviously the Versa H18, the Micro-ATX case. The dimensions of the case, I'm just going to put this over here. You don't want to get that scratched. Is 390 by 208 by 380mm, or if you're in inches, then that's 15.4 times 8.1 times 15 inches. So inside we see, as with most of the Versa cases, the shroud covering the power supply. So that's quite a common theme on a lot of cases these days, is that you separate the power supply, maybe the hard drives as well, we'll have a look at that, and the main components of your computer, to create an aesthetically pleasing, I can't even speak, to create a lovely looking, so the reason for that is just to make it look nice. So within the case we get one standard Thermaltake rear exhaust fan, and that's a 120, I believe that's a 120, 3-pin, and you do get at least 6 standoffs on this case. Now, I was hoping there was going to be some sort of bag. It looks like there is a bag in the bag, so once we take the other side off, we'll see what other bits we get. So if you've got a Micro-ATX case, you're good to go. You can fit that in, the motherboard standoffs are already there, and it won't take you long to fit that at all. We have 2 spaces here for SSDs, hence the rubber grommets. I don't really know why they've only put 1 rubber grommet on each SSD, so maybe they've fallen off, or they weren't put on, or they're in the bag in the back. The only reason I can think you need rubber grommets on an SSD actually is, well, I don't think you need them because there's no mechanical parts in them. They don't vibrate like a standard mechanical hard drive does. So you'll be able to fit your Mini-ITX and MicroATX motherboard into this case. Nothing bigger than that, although it does have standoffs for the Micro. So you will need to put those on from the bag that we're going to hopefully look at in a moment. So for cable routing from this side of the case anyway, you don't get the rubber protective shielding parts around where you put through the ATX power cables and anything else that you want to push through. But they have actually curved the edges so that you don't get sharp edges around these bits. So actually it's not going to be a major problem that there isn't the rubber there. It's really only for looks, to be honest with you. So that is actually nice to see. I can feel they've done that on all of them, and it's not just a few of them. Even the ones on the bottom for things like USB header cables from the front. Yeah, every single one of them has been curved, and that is actually good to see. That's a nice touch. We have an open slot at the front of the case for the radiators, and I'll run through the support list sizes that you could fit in this in a bit later. So let's look at the other side and see what cable management options we have in the back of the case. So we've taken the backside panel off and we're going to see how cable management looks from this side. And as I expected, and I said on the when we were looking at the other side, you do get a bag of screws, a speaker, a few cable ties, about 5, and some rubber grommets and various other screws for mounting hard drives and various things like that. So that's pretty standard. Would have liked to have seen the rubber grommets already on there instead of just putting an odd one for each SSD in there. But you can put them on, it's not a major problem. Just would have been nice to see them already on it. What do we have here? So we have all the cables from the front I/O. There is a ton of cables. So we have the standard power button, reset button and all that malarkey. And you have your USB 3, stupidly sized USB 3 header. I don't know why they made it that big, but thank God they've changed it on USB-C. Your standard USB 2 ports. Push those out of the way so we can get a proper look. We can get a proper look at the inside of the case. Having a quick look, there's no mounting for or at least that I can see, any hard drives in this area here. Now it looks like there probably should have been, but whether that wasn't sent in the box or it is an extra, I don't know. Maybe we can clarify that a bit later on. But it definitely looks like you can mount hard drives on the bottom here. There's definitely, it looks like there's possibly a cage is supposed to fit in there, but we don't have one. So I can't show you that part, I'm afraid. However, you can still obviously mount your SSDs or your laptop size drives in on the other side of the case. But as it stands at the minute, they didn't send me any storage capacity for mounting a 3.5-inch drive on this case. So I can't actually test or show or do anything with that. So cable management on the back is okay actually, it's not too bad. You've got these little cutouts here which you can fit a cable tie through, and then you can neatly tidy the cables in lines across the top. You've got some up here going down the edge there so that you can tie cables for things like fans or ATX 12 volt power, CPU power down the end there, and also along there as well. So actually that's not too bad, that's quite good. The one thing I've just noticed is that the rivets that they've used here don't seem to be cut off properly. And I'm pretty sure that is a manufacturing issue. And they haven't cut the other side of the rivet off like they have on these ones here. They haven't cut these off. So along the shrouds that you get, this shroud is basically connected to the motherboard tray at the back. And on where this connects to the tray on the back, it looks like they haven't cut them off. And like I said, I'll do a close-up shot of that. But that is, if that's supposed to be like that, I don't like it. I actually don't like that. I would prefer that to be flat. Also up along the side as well. They've done it along the front as well. Only seems to be on the back side, so maybe they thought that no one's going to see it. And it doesn't really matter so much. But it does. It does to me. So that is a shame. Now I'm looking, I can see more. So maybe it's supposed to be like that. But I can't honestly say I've ever seen rivets that haven't been cut off on the other side, or maybe they didn't. Definitely seems like a manufacturing issue with that. Because I've seen it down here by the power supply as well, along the bottom of the PSU shroud underneath. So that won't stop the case doing its job. It's all on the back side, it's all in areas where nothing is going to touch it. So given that we don't have a 3.5-inch cage to show where they go, you've actually got a lot of room for cable hiding, if that's what you want to do. Obviously you've got a bit here where you can put a free fan radiator at the front, and you've got space for a extra large power supply, if you do want to put one of those in there, but it's probably overkill for the system. So there is a lot of space in this particular case that I have here for hiding cables, if you're not very good at cable management. I'm not too bad, I'm okay, but I could be better. Okay, so before I tell you about radio support, I'm going to tell you about the dimensions, internal dimensions. So CPU cooler wise, you can fit a 155mm CPU cooler in there before it touches the other side of the panel, which you don't want because it will warp. VGA length limitation is 350 without a front fan on the front, and possibly even less if you've got a larger radiator on the front. So for radiator support on this case, starting from the back to the front. So on the back you can have a 120mm radiator, single fan or double fan if you're push-pull configuration on that. On the top you can have again a 120 radiator in push-pull configuration if you have the room with the components inside. Or you can actually have up to a 140mm fan on the top, which is quite nice. It means the bigger the fan, the slower they spin, the less noise you have. So on the front you can have a 240mm radiator or a 280mm radiator. So I'm just going to go back to the hard drive tray issue that I thought was an issue on the back. It's not actually an issue, it is how it's designed. So I will grab a drive and I will show you. There is no caddy at all, so that is perfectly normal. The hard drives actually screw to the case, so one will mount on top of the case, and which is why you've got spare rubber grommets in there, because you will need the rubber grommets for a mechanical drive if you're going to put one of those in there. And also you can put another one on the bottom down there and screw that in from underneath on the bottom of the case. And actually that's quite good because it doesn't restrict airflow. You've still got room for putting cabling in between. You're not going to see that from the other side because it's got the PSU shroud on it anyway. Again, with the SSDs, we know we've already said you can mount them on this side, or you can actually mount them on the back side as well. So you can actually mount them either side if you want to hide your SSDs, if they don't look particularly pretty, which some of them don't, then you can mount them this side. And there is loads of room to put cables for power and SATA. So that finishes our look at the Versa H18. Now, we give this a big thumbs up actually, despite the issue with the joints on the other side exposed. It's actually a very well thought out case. I love the fact that you've got decent airflow on the front and that you can put 3 fans in there. So overall this is an excellent budget case, so if you're getting into the water cooling, AIO water cooling at least, scene, then this is the perfect case to start with. It's light, it's very light, it looks great, magnetic dust filters, support for bigger than 120mm fans, which is always good to see, and adequate cable management on the back side. So we give this a 7 out of 10. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment if you've got any comments on this case at all. And don't forget to click the notification button in the corner on this video, which should be somewhere down there, so you receive notifications of any future videos that we upload. So thanks for watching guys, and we'll see you in the next one.